I swear it was working earlier. Oh, hello. We've got a wire has come off. All right, where were you connected? Milado? Welcome back to the Haunted Espresso Machine project. When we left off last time, we were checking the board for bends. We found a promising pitch up modification by attaching a 1 megohm potentiometer between the two ends of this resistor. And so we'll wire that in today. And we're also going to see if we can put a volume attenuator in line with the speaker. They haven't marked polarity on this speaker or the board, and they've used the same color wire for each leg, so we're kind of up a certain creek. I'm just going to go by guess and by golly here, and we'll snip off that one for want of a different decision. About there. Done it now. 1k ohm. One clip on the center lug. One clip on that one for now. Okay, let's turn it on. Perfection. Okay, we're all set up to take some readings with the dB meter. We've recreated the 4-inch gap from when we took our original readings. So let's turn it on. First this guy. There it goes. And now this one. Okay, I'm happy with that. I dialed in about 10 dB worth of attenuation. So now what remains is to measure the resistance between these 2 points to see what value resistor we need. So we need the multimeter. Now if I'm reading that correctly, that looks like about 18-20 ohms, we'll call it. So I'm going to have a look in the stash of resistors and see what I've got. Then we'll reconvene at the workbench. See you there. Welcome to the workshop. It's a bit of a controlled mess here. We've got the patient sort of all hanging open here. Right, let's just put him aside for a moment. I've already wired up the potentiometer, ready to go. This is the 1 megohm. These wires will go to the board. This one here is for the switch, which is built into this guy. Wiring this in straight gives a slight rise in pitch even on its lowest setting. So if I have the switch engaged, it cuts that out so that it operates at normal pitch. Here's my single pole double throw switch. One of these wires will go to the speaker. The middle pin will go to the wire from the board, and the third wire from the speaker will go to this 20 ohm resistor. It's actually a 29 ohm when I measured it with the multimeter. Won't make too much sense until you see me wire this up, but basically we need 2 wires going to here. So this one here that I've left hanging on will actually go to the resistor, and this one here will go to probably there. And then the third wire from the circuit will be in the middle there. So effectively, with the switch down, we'll get a drop in volume. With the switch up, it'll be normal volume. So there's a little reservoir that goes in here for the water, and it has a little bit of this shape going on. So either side here we have room for these little modifications, like so. But we need to drill holes, so this is where they're going to go. Let's do that. First I'll start with a pilot hole about 1/8 of an inch. Now we need the stepper, so let's look here. 4 steps, and that is going to be on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a little tight. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that's the switch. On the other side we have potentiometer. Looks about right. Oh yeah, perfect. So that's the holes made. We'll set that aside now. And you have to remember that this board gets mounted down in here. So I've tried to leave, you know, good long length for these attachments. Next is the speaker. Well, that was painful, but we got it. Let's take a moment to see if it works. And that's a success. We're all ready to attach the first leg of the potentiometer to the board. Alright, that seems to be on there pretty good. Now we got to turn it over and do the same with the other one. You know, I probably could have done it on this side, but it's a little bit close to that capacitor for my liking. Alright, as you can see, I've resoldered the negative connection because it fell apart on me again. This time I twisted the 2 wires together and reattached them there. Hopefully that'll do it, at least until I get it put back together. So let's have a bit of a test here, real quick. And this is disengaged right now. So it works as I intended it to, and everything seems to be still attached. Now, carefully put it back together. Oh, don't go messing around on me here. This thing is still haunted apparently. Oh. Before that thing rudely interrupted me, I was going to say I'll take this back to the station and put everything back together there, because I realized the screws for the board are over there, and then we'll give it a test drive, and that'll be that. See you there. Welcome back, and what a frustrating build that was. Not because of any of the modifications so much, but the wires they used to build this thing are so flimsy and thin. They're stranded and less than a millimeter thick inside. So just about every time I moved the board or the speaker, a wire would break off and I'd have to resolder it. The resistor wire broke at one point, so it wasn't that great of a time if I'm honest, but it's all wired up now, and fingers crossed we can get it put back together with these new additions without breaking any more. This is day 3 on this film, and I was upstairs earlier and I heard this sound and I'm like, my phone doesn't make that sound, what the heck is that? And it turned out to be this thing again. I thought I'd turned it off, but it's on setting 2, which is the one that seems to just come on at random. Okay, so we'll turn it off properly now. And yeah, let's get it back together. Alright, so I got halfway through putting that back together when I realized that the wires from the wires to the speaker were poking through the wrong way. They were under the board. So now I've corrected that and they're on the right side. Hopefully there's no more obstructions to progress here. Let's get the switch where it's got to go. I had to auger that out a little bit more. Like that. Well, this build has proven that some things just shouldn't really be bent. It's been a struggle all the way, but I think we've got it mostly back together now. We just have to tuck some of these little wires out of the way, and like I say, these wires are very flimsy, and this damn thing, that's been a thorn in my side, and it looks like some of these wires have to be poked down in there. Oh dear, I really do not want to break that. We'll just have to cross our fingers and toes and all that good stuff. That has to be up out of the way. It's kind of a case of smash it all in there and hope for the best. We need you, Mr. Foam. Okay, so before we put a screw anywhere near it, let's just check that it still works. We got a little bit of friction on this side, so I'm just going to have a quick look in there. They put these little tabs on these potentiometers. That's meant to stop it from squirreling around, but in this application it's just not going to work. I could have drilled a hole for it to poke out a little bit and it would have been fine, but this is a toddler's toy and it's going back to its owner, and I don't want any little sharp bits of metal poking out, so we'll just carefully bend this back. There we go. Just these little things you got to think about when you're putting these things together. Oh yeah, it's much better now. Much smoother. It didn't snap together pleasingly that time, but we are back together now. As I said, it's going to my niece, back to my niece. So we want it kid-friendly, or as kid-friendly as possible. So a nice tactile knob here. Good and tight so it doesn't come off of there. Much better. Okay, and we still have the nice aesthetic of the half the Value Village sticker. Alright, so we're all set up for the sound level test now that the attenuator has been installed. And okay, so let's get a baseline level here with the switch off. I think I saw 76 there. So now let's turn the switch on and go again. It looked like under 65 there, which is a nice, comfortable number. I'm happy with that. If you remember, I used a 20 ohm resistor. It actually read 29 on the multimeter, but it seems to have hit that sweet spot I was looking for. So it no longer blasts your head off when you turn it on. Okay, so let's turn it back to max here. We'll put this away and we'll demonstrate the pitch knob. So Mr. Foam, you are required. Okay, so we're recording. Let's have a listen and see what we get. That's awesome. All right, let's try the button. And I don't know if you noticed there, but if you do turn the knob off, it drops to the proper pitch. And with the knob engaged, it automatically is up a little bit. Yeah, I like that little tune a lot nicer when it's sped up. That was a good one. Tired of waiting for your espresso? Wait no more. What's it do if I just turn it on like that? That's pretty harsh, isn't it? The switch seems to be a little more stable now, which is one good thing. Oh dear, hours of fun to be had with this thing. So there you are, a hard one volume attenuator, and as a bonus we have this really cool pitch knob. Do I recommend bending one of these? No, not if you're going to leave it stock like I have. If you're going to rip out all this plastic garbage that's in the way of the circuit board, etc., you might have a better time of it. Just watch out for those terrible wires in there, because guaranteed you'll break one or two of them, if not more. It still does weird things all by itself. As I mentioned earlier, I had it lying face down on the bench here, geez, for a couple of days before I got back to this build, and brewing coffee of its own accord. You know what? Messing around with it all this time and I still haven't changed the battery. So as to whether we've exercised the ghosts in these things, well, that's another matter. I'm sure I'll hear all about it when it returns to its home. Regardless of that, it is quite a cool little toy, and it's a shame we don't have the little portafilter. I'm sure I filmed an hour and a half's worth of material for this episode alone, and that's not counting episode 10 where we investigated the haunted nature of this thing. What an adventure it was. So with that, thanks for watching.